Hey everyone, this is JayRock and you're watching JayRockDoesStuff, and this is a Hygger electric gravel vac cleaner unboxing and setup video, and I appreciate you being here. So let's do this. The product presentation on this gravel vac was pretty nice. When I opened the box, everything was lined up really nice and neat. And of course, the first thing that we pull out of the box is always the instruction manual. This first piece, this is called a filter housing. This has an angled gray connection with a clear tube that has filters in it. This is used to connect to the three-way valve that filters water back into the tank. The angled gray connection and the clear tube can be separated by twisting them apart. You can take the filtering material out and put whatever filter material in that you would like to put in. I should also note that they include a coarse and a fine filter inside of this tube. The clear tube in the middle compartment is called a sand vacuum. This is used to vacuum sand and anything else that you'd want to vacuum. It comes apart at the seam by pulling it apart, and there is a filter in the upper compartment. This can be taken out and be washed. There is a grate on the bottom portion that keeps the sand in the tank. The lip of this tube is serrated to allow sand to get into the tube. It should also be noted that the filter for this tube is used in the intake strainer to filter that as well. So you take it out of this and put it in that. Though I don't think that's a good solution, and we'll go over that more later. This next piece is your main pump head. It's going to be greenish teal and gray. On one end, it's going to have a smooth connection, and on the other one, it's going to have a screw connection. This pump head is responsible for all the suction in your electronic gravel vacuum. This head is definitely going to be waterproof. The wire goes through the styrofoam, so you'll have to pick the styrofoam up out of the box in order to get the wire out. On the end of the wire is a two-prong connection that will connect to the wall plug. This flexible black tubing is called your water pipe. It is very collapsible and flexible. This is used to transfer water in and out of your tank. I measured this hose, and the hose is about 6 feet 8 inches. You can see how flexible and collapsible this hose is by when I squish it. This black wire, this is your wall plug-in. It has an on and off switch that can be clicked either way to turn it on or off. It really proves to be useful when you're using the unit to be able to shut it down without unplugging it. This clear bag has all your plastic attachments in it. It has your extension tubes, it has your connectors, it has your wire connections, it has your handle, it has your outlet connection. Everything that's pretty much plastic and connects to this unit is in this bag. Well, the box is empty and I don't have enough room on my table. So let's clean this up and I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. This is all the plastic pieces that were in that bag. First up, we got our handle. This has recessed slots in it for grip. It's also hollow. It has a smooth connection on one end and a screw-in connection on the other. This handle is used when you're siphoning water back into the tank. There is not a configuration per Hygger where this handle is used when you're siphoning water out of the tank. Though I have found a configuration that works to use this handle when you're siphoning water outside of the tank, and we will talk more about that later. These next 4 gray pipes are your uplift or your extension pipes. They have a male screw-in connection on one end and a female screw-in connection on the other end. You connect your wire clips to these. These are also measuring at 7 3/4 inches in length. These pipes connected will make up the height of your gravel vac. You will need the depth of your tank in order to know how many pipes you will need to use in order for this to be effective. This next gray connection is your outlet pipe. It has a female screw connection on one end and a barbed connection on the other. The flexible hosing connects to the barbed end, and the screw end connects to your uptake tubes. This next part is called your sand washing head. It's used when you have sand in the bottom of the tank and you want to remove water, but you do not want to remove and separate debris. Also a note, this sand washing head can be used with large gravels as well. The end of this connection can be screwed off. Inside you'll find a ball that has been perforated in order to let small debris and water go through. This ball looks a lot like a bio ball. This next tube is your three-way valve. It has a female connection in the bottom and two male connections at the top. The top portion of this three-way valve has been blocked off. There is also a silicone ring on the top male connection. This part directs the water into a 90-degree angle from your uplift tubes. This allows your filter housing to be used to allow you filtering water back into the tank. I also use this part for a configuration that I found on my own to be able to use the handle when you're taking water outside of the tank. This is not in the manual nor recommended by Hygger. These clips that look like a C with a mustache, these are your wire clips, and these connect to your uplift tubes to hold your wire out of the water. You should have 4 of these. This bag has 4 suction cups for the bottom of your intake strainer and a couple of extra O-rings for you to use. The suction cups have these little nubs on them that you insert to the bottom of the intake strainer to hold it down. This next attachment is your brush head. This attaches directly to the pump head. This is for removing debris and dirt into the filter or out of the tank. It has a swivel attachment on the top that's really stiff, allowing you to get the angle that you need in order to vacuum properly. The bristles are made of a soft brush, so I'm not really worried about it scratching my glass at all, and it's really good for cleaning rocks. Next up is your intake strainer. This is a puck style attachment that attaches directly to the pump head. It has slots on the side and a removable grate on the bottom. The grate on the bottom has those slots we were talking about earlier for the suction cups. This is the part per Hygger where you take the filter out of the sand vacuum and insert it into the top to block debris. Though I have a modification for you, so stay tuned for that. This little part that has a male screw connection on one end and a female screw connection on the other end is just your connector. This connects your uptake tubes from your pump head. Please take note that there is a silicone ring on this connection. This next attachment is called your debris vacuum. It has a scraper style tip on one end and a stiff swivel on the other. That way you can put it in the angle that you need to be able to use it correctly. This attaches directly to the pump head and is used for removing big debris from the tank. Well, that's all the plastic parts that were in the bag. Now let's just take a quick look at everything that came with this kit. And now you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of stuff sitting there. So I guess we should get into putting this thing together and see how it works. Before we get started, let me explain that there are different ways to get this set up. How you know which way you want this set up will depend on what you want to do and what substrate you have. There is 2 main configurations for the uptake tubes per Hygger's instructions. One is for in-tank filtering, meaning you're not doing any water changes, but you are still filtering the water through the gravel vac. And the other is for out-of-tank filtering, meaning you're wanting to do a water change. And I personally have came up with a 3rd configuration so that you can use the handle while removing water from the tank. As per Hygger's instructions, there is no way to use the handle while removing water from the tank. When it comes to what attachment you should use, this is where the substrate comes into play. Each attachment is substrate specific, meaning if you have sand, you're going to want to use a sand attachment. If you don't use a sand attachment, it may suck all your sand right out or even clog your gravel vac. Okay, so let's try one. Let's say I have a sand substrate and I want to filter back into my tank. Let's get that set up. Here's a layout of all the parts you'll need. You're always going to start with your pump first. Then choose the sand attachment that you want. It's going to be one of the 2 heads. This will insert into the non-threaded side of the pump. Go ahead and set that down and grab an extension tube and a wire clip, and let's get a couple wire clips put on. Once you get your wire clip put on, let's screw that into the extension piece. Also, everything should screw together really easily. If it's not screwing together, unscrew it and screw it back together. You might be cross-threaded. The next piece we want to attach is our three-way. Go ahead and screw that right into the last extension tube that you put on. Note that you might need more than one extension tube before you put the three-way on in order to achieve the proper height for your tank. After the three-way, you can put the handle on the end or another extension tube. It's your choice and whatever you need to fit your space. After your configuration is set up, all that's left is for you to insert your filter housing and screw that into the three-way. And this would be your configuration for sand in the bottom of your tank and to filter water back into your tank. Also, you can use the other tip if you decide you do not want to remove big debris. The other tip will remove small debris and water. So let's say you don't have sand and you have a bare bottom tank, or you have gravel and you don't want to filter inside of the tank, you want to filter outside of the tank to do a water change. Let's go ahead and get that set up. Alright, so this is everything that you need, and as normal we start with our pump head. You get a choice between the brush head, the debris vacuum, or the sand vacuum. I would not use the sand washing head unless you're just wanting to do a water change if you have a bare bottom or a gravel tank. So once you've made your selection of which one you're going to use, go ahead and get that attached and then put the connector piece on the threaded end. Then let's go ahead and set that down. We will grab an uplift tube and a wire connector and get a couple of those put on. So after you're done with that, let's get a couple of these connected to our pump head. The number of these that you'll need will depend on the depth of your tank. So once you get the right amount of uplift tubes connected, let's go ahead and get our outlet piece attached to the end. All that's left to do after that is to connect your black hose and you're ready to rock. If you end up deciding that you don't want to use the head that you have on, all you have to do is pop it off, grab the one that you want and pop it right back on. You have a good amount of choices here. Well, that's it for the two main setups. You just need to remember which attachment to use for your substrate and choose whether you want to filter inside the tank or outside the tank, and set up the uplift tubes appropriately. But just real quick before you go, I wanted to show you a third option for using the handle when you're filtering outside of the tank. This is not recommended by Hygger and this is not in the instruction manual. Okay, so here we are. We're set up for outside of the tank filtration. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the outflow pipe and replace it with the three-way valve. Then I'm going to take the outflow pipe and attach it to the right angle of the three-way. This will allow you to attach the handle to the end of the three-way valve. This will allow the handle to be used during out of tank filtration. Please take note that in this scenario, the outflow pipe and the three-way valve could potentially leak at the connection between the two. So what if I want to just use this for just putting water in and out of a tank? Can I do that? Well, of course. As per Hygger's instructions, what you'll need to do is take the filter out of the sand vacuum and insert it into the puck-style intake strainer. I don't feel like this is a good solution, so I have a modification for you if you stay tuned. On the back of the intake strainer, you'll see 4 slots. This is for the 4 suction cups to slide into. The suction cups hold the unit upright when returning water from a bucket. One of the problems that I found with this is that suction cups work so well that when you go to take the gravel vac out, the intake strainer stays continued stuck to the surface that it was stuck to. I tried several ways and times to get the gravel vac out of the bucket with the intake strainer attached, and I could not succeed, not once. So I feel with the intake strainer attachment, it needs some way of securing itself to the pump head, either through a clip or a spring-loaded prong. The setup for this is very simple. It's an out-of-the-tank filtration setup on the uplift tubes, and you install the intake strainer on the front of the pump. And here's the modification for the intake strainer. Get yourself a coarse filter that's the size of the intake strainer. Use the intake strainer as an outline to cut yourself a new piece of filter material. There is 4 clips around the intake strainer. You can see the clips on the sides, but we access them from the bottom. With a flathead screwdriver, I'm going to slowly and carefully pry out the 4 clips that hold in the bottom strainer. I should mention that this is not recommended by Hygger and it is not in the manual to do. This is a full-fledged modification, and if something were to break while doing this, Hygger is not responsible. Once you get the grate taken off the bottom, go ahead and stick the filter that you cut into the bottom and put the grate back on carefully. This is now going to save you from taking the filter out of the sand vacuum. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for watching, and this wraps it up for this Hygger electric gravel vac cleaner. And if you'd like to know my thoughts and experiences while using this product, please hit that subscribe button, as I do plan on doing a review video here shortly after using this product for a little while. And after watching this video, if you've decided that you would like to have your own Hygger electric gravel vac cleaner, I will leave an affiliate link in the description below. I truly appreciate each and every one of you watching my videos. That's going to wrap it up here for this unboxing and setup video for Hygger. I'm JayRock, and you're watching JayRockDoesStuff, and we will see you on the next one.